Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can I try, Prabhu?
Yeah, go ahead.
Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanatirmandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yene Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitanam Yene Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Swayam Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavacha Shri Rupam Sagrit Janatam Sachagan Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parijanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Divyam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitam Cha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपिसा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणनामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धु एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय हरि बोल।
Very good. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So today we will first cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, verse 34 onwards, and we'll aim to finish this Chapter 9 today. And then I will answer inquiries submitted by the devotees. So we are, in terms of recap of where we are. So Bhismadev is lying on the bed of arrows, as you can see from the image on the screen. And Pandavas also arrive together with Krishna. Krishna is personally present while Bhismadev is about to leave the body. When Bhismadev is ready to leave the body in presence of Krishna, Krishna reminded Yudhishthir to ask question to Bhismadev, the purpose why Krishna brought Yudhishthir to Bhismadev. Bhismadev started talking about religious principles. Then Bhismadev started glorifying Krishna with beautiful prayers, because Krishna is the object of his attraction. Krishna's Parth Sarthi form is the attraction of Bhismadev, just as we have on the screen as well. Krishna's Parth Sarthi form riding the chariot of Arjuna. This form, Krishna's Parth Sarthi form, is the attraction of Bhismadev. And this Parth Sarthi form was not visible even to Arjuna. Bhismadev is glorifying Krishna as Bhaktavatsal. When Arjuna was apparently confused that Arjuna did not want to kill the superiors, Krishna destroyed Arjuna's misconception by transcendental knowledge. So it's an upcoming verse today. Hence, Bhismadev is glorifying that Krishna gave transcendental knowledge. And Bhismadev is glorifying Krishna's Vatsalya Prem towards Arjuna, that Krishna did not leave Arjuna. Krishna always wanting Arjuna's victory. And Bhismadev will continue glorify Krishna with beautiful prayers, and he will continue to ask Rati in each of the prayers. Just as last time we heard from His Grace Padmanaya Prabhu, we will today also hear each of these prayers. from Padmanabha Prabhu. Did anybody have the words Vijay Sake Rati Rastume stuck in their consciousness? What we heard last time?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes, Prabhu, text 33 was amazing. Did try to memorize it.
Very good.
For me, Prabhuji, the Rati.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so we will continue from verse number 34 onwards, and we will hear each of these verses from Padmanabha Prabhu. And let's see if Devraj will be able to read verse number 34 translation. Let's first hear from Padmanabha Prabhu. This is verse number 34.
Judhituragarajo vidhumra vishwa Kachalulita samabhayadam pitashye Mama nisita sharair vividyamana Tvachibila satkavachestu krishna atma.
Is our dear Devraj able to read 34 translation or Archana? Anil?
Haribol, Prabhu.
Krishna?
Can he try the other verse, Prabhu? He's in the next room.
Yeah, you can read Archana 34.
Okay, he's here. Come, Devraj, read the translation. Hare Krishna, sir.
The battlefield where Sri Krishna attended Arjuna out of friendship. The following hair of Lord Krishna turned ashen due to the dust raised by hoofs of horses, and because his labour beads of sweat wetted his face. All these decorations
Intensified
by the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows were enjoyed by him. Let my mind thus go unto Sri Krishna.
Very good, thank you. So Krishna is remembering Arjuna to protect, and Bhismadev is remembering Krishna's Parth Sarthi form. So Bhishma is remembering Krishna driving the chariot of Arjuna, and the color of Krishna's hair turned gray because of the dust particles all around. And Bhishmadev remembering Krishna's Parthasarthi form, the result has been that Bhishmadev attained the loka in the spiritual world where the Parthasarthi form of Krishna is eternally present. Now, devotee generally get attracted to opulences, while Bhishmadev is attracted to Krishna's simple form. We'll read the purport and understand the mood of Bhishmadev in all these prayers. Archana, 34 purport, first 3 paragraphs, faster pace.
Hare Krishna. The Lord is absolute from the eternity, bliss, and the knowledge. As such, transcendental loving service to the Lord is one of the 5 principal relations, namely Sata, Dasya, Sakha, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. That is neutrality, servitorship, fraternity, parent affection, and conjugal love is graciously accepted by the Lord when offered to the Lord in a genuine love and affection. Sri Bhishmadev is a great devotee of the Lord in a relation of a servitorship. Thus, his throwing of sharp arrow at the transcendental body of the Lord is as good as the worship of another devotee who throws soft roses upon him. It appeared that Bhishmadev is repenting the action of he committed against the person of the Lord, but factually the Lord's body was not at all pained due to his transcendental existence. His body is not matter. Both he himself and his body are completely spiritual identity. Spirits is never passed, burnt, dried, moistens, etc. This is the vividly explained in the Bhagavad Gita. So also it is stated in a Sanda Purana. It is said there is it is said there that spirit is always uncontaminated and undestructible. It cannot be distressed, nor can be dried up. When Lord Vishnu in his incarnation appear before us, he seems to be like one of the conditioned soul, materially engaged, just to bewilder the asuras or the non-believer who are always alert to kill the Lord. Even from the very beginning of his appearance, Kansa wanted to kill Krishna and Ravana wanted to kill Rama because foolishly they were unaware of the fact that Lord is never killed, for the spirit is never annihilated. Therefore, Bhismadev piercing of the body of a Lord Krishna is a sort of bewildering problem for the non-devotee atheists, but those who are devotees or a liberated soul are not bewildered.
So Bhishmadev
Hari.
shot arrows at Krishna, and Krishna enjoyed this because Krishna is absolute. Just as a pujari offers flowers to Krishna and Krishna enjoys and accepts, similarly, Bhishmadev shooting arrows at Krishna was equally relishable, and Krishna accepted that. This is the absolute nature of Krishna. Somewhere in South India, I don't remember the place, somewhere in South India, there is a very tall deity form of the Parsarthi form of Krishna with these blood coming out, or that seemingly blood coming out from the arrows of Bhishmadev. It's a very, very tall deity form. And all this is bewildering for non-devotees. One of the questions asked by one of the devotees is similar on this, that why is Bhishmadev doing all these prayers and all focusing on all this? Well, this is all bewildering to non-devotees, but for devotees, this is relishable. Archana, continue rest of the purport.
Bhishmadev appreciated the all-merciful attitude of the Lord because he did not leave Arjuna alone. Although he was disturbed by the sharpened arrow of Bhishmadev, nor was he reluctant to come before Bhishma deadbeat, even though he was ill-treated by him on the battlefield. Bhishma repentance and the Lord merciful attitude are both unique in this picture. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, a great acharya and a devotee in the honor of conjugal love with the Lord, remarked very saintly in this regard. He said that wood created on the body of a Lord by the sharpened arrow of Bhishmadev were as a pleasing to the Lord as a beating of the fancy who by the Lord's body directed by the strong sense of a sex desire. Such beating by the opposite sex is never taken as a sign of enmity, even if there is a wound on a body. Therefore, the fighting as an exchange of transcendental pleasure between the Lord and his pure devotee. Sri Bhishmadev was not at all in mundane. Beside that, since the Lord body and the Lord are identical, there was no possibility of wound in the absolute body. The appearance wound caused by the sharpened arrow are misleading to the common man, but one who has the little absolute knowledge can understand the transcendental exchange in the chivalrous relation. The Lord was perfectly happy with the wound caused by the sharpened arrow of Bhishmadev. The word vidhayamana is significant because the Lord's skin is not different from the Lord, because our skin is different from our soul is our case. The wood vidhayamana, or been bruised and cut, would have been quite suitable. Transcendental bliss is of different varieties and varieties of activities than in the mundane world is but a perverted reflection of transcendental bliss, because everything in the mundane world is collectively mundane, and it is full of inheritabilities wherever in the absolute realm, because everything is of the same absolute nature. There are varieties of enjoyment without inheritability. The Lord enjoyed the wound created by his great devotee Bhismadev, and because Bhismadev is a devotee in a chivalrous relation, he fixed up his mind on Krishna in that wounded condition. Haribol.
He fixed up his mind on Krishna in that wounded condition. The analogy given is perfect. That just as a fiancé bites the other lover, and even if blood is coming out, it's still enjoyable. The same way, Bhishmadev shooting arrows at Krishna and that apparent blood coming out, Krishna relished it amazingly well and accepted Bhishmadev's offering. Is that amazing verse?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
जी प्रभु जी.
All right, thank you. So verse 35, Bhishmadev will continue for rati, for attachment. Dhara will be reading. I will first play His Grace Padmanabh Prabhu's recitation of verse number 35.
Text number 35. Sapadi sakhi bacho nisamya madhye nija parayor balayor ratham niveshya Sthitavati parasainikayurakshna Sthitavati partha sakhiratir mamastu. She always is praying for Rati.
Rati, yeah, he's always praying for Rati. Very good. Dhara 35.
Hare Krishna. In obedience of the command of his friend, Lord Sri Krishna entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjun and Duryodhan. And while there, he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna.
Let my mind be fixed upon that Parthasarthi form of Krishna. That by his glance, Krishna reduced the lifespan of those on the other side. Dhara, purport, paragraph number 1.
In the Bhagavad Gita 1.21 to 25, Arjun ordered the infallible Lord Sri Krishna to place his chariot between the phalanxes of the soldiers. He asked him to stay there until he had finished observing the enemies he had to face in the battle. When the Lord was so asked, he at once did so, just like an order carrier. And the Lord pointed out all the important men on the opposite side, saying, "Here is Bhishma, here is Drona," and so on. The Lord, being the supreme living being, is never the order supplier or order carrier of anyone, whoever he may be, but out of his causeless mercy and affection for his pure devotees, sometimes he carries out the order of the devotee like an awaiting servant. By executing the order of a devotee, the Lord becomes pleased, as a father is pleased to carry out the order of his small child. This is possible only out of pure transcendental love between the Lord and his devotees. And Bhishmadev was quite aware of this fact. He therefore addressed the Lord as the friend of Arjun.
So Krishna is pleased to serve his devotees, and therefore Krishna became the chariot driver of Arjuna's chariot. Tara, continue.
The Lord diminished the duration of life of the opposite party by his merciful glance. It is said that all the fighters who assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained salvation by personally seeing the Lord at the time of death. Therefore, his diminishing the duration of life of Arjun's enemy does not mean that he was partial to the cause of Arjun. Factually, he was merciful to the opposite party because they would not have attained salvation by dying at home in the ordinary course of life. Here was a chance to see the Lord at the time of death and thus attain salvation from material life. Therefore, the Lord is all good, and whatever he does is for everyone's good. Apparently, it was for the victory of Arjun, his intimate friend, but factually it was for the good of Arjun's enemies. Such are the transcendental activities of the Lord, and whoever understands this also gets salvation after quitting this material body. The Lord does no wrong in any circumstance because he is absolute, all good at all times.
Yeah, so all those enemies of Arjuna on the opposite side and everybody on the battlefield dying in front of Krishna, they all attain spiritual world. This comes up later in Canto 1 later, that all these enemies of Arjuna who did not have any attraction to Krishna, and when they were pierced by Arjuna's arrows, and Arjuna being a pure devotee, and Arjuna was doing service to Krishna, in that instant, so the arrows of Arjuna carried the blessings of a pure devotee, and when those arrows of Arjuna pierced the enemies, in that split second, because the arrows are coming from a pure devotee, in that split second before leaving their body, all these enemies of Arjuna got purified and their love for Krishna aroused, and right at that moment of leaving the body and looking at Krishna, they all attained spiritual world. And therefore, Prabhupada says that this apparently looks like Krishna is responsible for killing so many, but actually they all attain perfection. They all attain spiritual world, which would have not been possible if they died at their home in the ordinary course of their life. Are we on the same page?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I will play the next verse number 37. And then we will, 36. I will play 36 from His Grace Padmanabha Prabhu, and then we will read.
Again, in the next, in 36, he says, Vyavahita pritana mukham niriksha swajana badhat vimukhasya dosha buddhya umatim aharat atma vidyaya charanarati paramasya tasya. Means to
Nitya, translation.
Yes, Prabhu. When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction.
So, Krishna eradicated Arjuna's ignorance by giving the Bhagavad Gita transcendental knowledge. And Bhismadev continues to ask for rati, for attachment to Krishna's lotus feet. Nitya, purport 36, faster pace.
Yes, Prabhu. The king and the commanders were to stand in front of the fighting soldiers. That was the system of actual fighting. The king and commanders were not so-called presidents or ministers of defense as they are today. They would not stay home while the poor soldiers or mercenaries were fighting face to face. This may be the regulation of the modern democracy. But when actual monarchy was prevailing, the monarchs were not covered, elected without consideration or qualification. As it was evident from the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all the executive heads of both parties, like Drona, Bhisma, Arjuna, and Duryodhana, were not pleasing. All of them were actual participants in the fighting, which was selected to be executed at a place away from the civil residential quarters. This means that the innocent citizens were immune from all effects of fighting between the rival royal parties. The citizens had no business in seeing what was going to happen during such fighting. They were to pay 1/4 of their income to the ruler, whether it be Arjuna or Duryodhana. All the commanders of the parties on the battlefield of Kurukshetra were standing face to face, and Arjuna saw them with great compassion and lamented that he was to kill his kinsman on the battlefield for the sake of the empire. He was not at all afraid of the giant military phalanx presented by Duryodhana, but as a merciful devotee of the Lord, renunciation of worldly things was natural for him, and thus he decided not to fight for the worldly possessions. But this was due to the poor fund of knowledge, and there it is said here that his intelligence became polluted. His intelligence could not be polluted at any time because he was a devotee and constant companion of the Lord, as it is clear in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Apparently, Arjuna's intelligence became polluted because otherwise there would not have been a chance to deliver the teachings of Bhagavad Gita for the good of all polluted, conditioned souls engaged in material bondage by the conception of the false material body. The Bhagavad Gita was delivered to the conditioned souls of the world to deliver them from the wrong conception of identifying the body with the soul and to re-establish the soul's eternal relation with the Supreme Lord. Atma Vidya, or transcendental knowledge of himself, was primarily spoken by the Lord for the benefit of all concerned in all parts of the universe.
Yeah, so Arjuna was apparently put in this polluted mind or conditioned mind situation so that Bhagavad Gita could be delivered for the benefit of all living beings. Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, I wanted to clarify something.
Yeah.
I don't know if I heard this correctly, but in the beginning, you said that Bhismadev is his glance is focused on the Arjun Sarthi form of Krishna, but even Arjun had not seen this form. Is
Correct.
that here? Okay. So how is it possible that wasn't he the Sarthi of Arjun? So how he didn't see that?
Yeah, so look at how what you have on the screen. Arjuna is on the back side of Krishna.
Okay.
The beautiful form, like how Bhishmadev described a couple verses back, like how Krishna's hair turned ashen because of the dust, because of sweat falling, and his face became with that sweat and everything. That form Arjuna did not see,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah.
that this was unique for Bhishmadev, that Bhishmadev saw the beautiful Parthasarthi form of Krishna. And I have said multiple times that the image that we have on the screen, the Parthasarthi form of Krishna, is among my favorite images. Exactly for what Bhishmadev is praying, and Bhishmadev prayers are also among my favorite prayers. Does that answer?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Very good. Everybody on the same page? So this image of Krishna's Parthasarthi form riding the chariot of Arjuna is among my favorite images. And the next verse, number 37, is this another image, is also among my favorite images, where Krishna runs to Bhishmadev with a chariot wheel so as to apparently kill Bhishmadev. This is a very spectacular visual and a spectacular verse as well. So let me play 37 from His Grace Padmanabha Prabhu, and then we'll read and discuss.
This is text number 37. Let us read the Sanskrit. Swanigamamapohayama pratigyam ritamadikartumavaplutorathastha dhritarata charanobhayachalatu haririvahantumibham gatottariya.
Chandran Prabhu, translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, may I start it?
Yeah, translation 37.
Hello. The text 37, translation, fulfilling my desire and sacrificing his own promise. He got down from the chariot, took up its wheel, and ran towards me hurriedly, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way. Hare Krishna.
38 translations also.
38 translation. May he, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who awards salvation, be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me, as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered, his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds. Hare Krishna.
So, in verse number 37, 38, Bhismadev is glorifying Krishna for showing his affection towards Bhismadev, that fulfilling Bhismadev's desire and sacrificing his own promise, Krishna took up a wheel and ran towards Bhismadev, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. Does anybody know the history of why this happened? What was why Krishna ran to Bhismadev, and what was Bhismadev's promise here, or Krishna's promise to Bhismadev? Anybody knows?
Prabhuji, Krishna promised that he will not take any weapon on that Kurukshetra war.
Yeah, that is correct. There was some additional side story besides this.
No, Prabhuji.
Anybody wants to know?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So, okay, very good. So what had happened was that the war is going on and it is impossible to defeat the Pandavas. And Bhishmadev is the only one to be able to defeat the Pandavas. But Bhishmadev has taken a vow that he will not kill the Pandavas, because both Bhishmadev and the Duryodhan's brothers are all equally affectionate to Bhishmadev. So one day during the battlefield, Duryodhan goes to Bhishmadev and accuses Bhishmadev of being partial towards Pandavas, that even though Bhishmadev is the commander-in-chief of Duryodhan's party, but Bhishmadev is protecting the Pandavas. And besides Bhishmadev, Karna was the only other individual who could kill the Pandavas, but Bhishmadev denied him to fight the war as long as Bhishmadev is the commander. So Duryodhana accuses Bhishmadev that Bhishmadev is not doing his duty properly. Bhishmadev is indirectly protecting the Pandavas. So Bhishmadev became angry. He said, if you doubt that I am not doing my duty properly to Hastinapur and to you, so he says, here are these 5 arrows. Tomorrow, first thing in the battle, I'm going to kill all 5 Pandavas. Here are these 5 arrows. But Duryodhan did not trust Bhishmadev. So he says, give me those 5 arrows. I will keep the 5 arrows with me because those were special arrows. And tomorrow in the battlefield, first thing I will give you those arrows so that you can kill the 5 Pandavas. Now, before, when the Pandavas were in exile and Duryodhan was captured by one of the tribal people, so Arjuna and Bhima just talked to those tribal people and got Duryodhan to be released. So Duryodhan at that time asked Arjuna, or gave Arjuna a boon that, okay, sometimes you can ask me anything and I will give you anything that you ask for. So on this day on the battlefield, Krishna knows what Duryodhan is trying to do. So Krishna goes to Arjuna and reminds Arjuna of Duryodhan giving him this boon to ask him anything. So Krishna says to Arjuna, go to Duryodhan right now in the middle of the night before next morning's battle and get those 5 arrows that Bhishmadev gave to Duryodhan to kill the Pandavas. So Duryodhan is, of course, a chivalrous fighter and is definitely a Kshatriya, and he definitely kept his word, and he gave the 5 arrows to Arjuna, and he goes to Bhishmadev that this is what happened, that he took away the arrows. I couldn't do anything. So Bhishmadev realizes that it is Krishna's plan. So Bhishmadev then takes another vow that tomorrow he will fight so fiercely with Arjuna that either Arjuna will be killed or Krishna will have to break his promise and pick up weapons to protect Arjuna. So this is what happened, that to fulfill Bhishmadev's this promise, Krishna picked up this weapon, or that seeming weapon of chariot wheel, and came running to Bhishmadev. And look at Bhishmadev. He's completely surrendered. And Bhishmadev is glorifying this, remembering this, that Krishna broke his promise just to satisfy the word of Bhishmadev. And look at the image that even though Arjuna is trying to stop Krishna, it was impossible to hold on to Krishna because Krishna was not just artificially doing it, he was actually running just as a lion runs to kill an elephant. Is that beautiful?
Yes, Prabhuji. With the bow and arrow dropped on Bhishmadev's chariot.
Yeah. Yeah, this image is also among my favorite images, that how Krishna is running to Bhishmadev with a chariot and Bhishmadev standing with arms wide open in a surrendered state. His bow and arrows dropped and he says, yeah, just kill me. So this is a loving exchange between the pure devotee Bhishmadev and Krishna on the battlefield. So Srila Prabhupada explains in a lecture that Krishna actually did not break his promise. Krishna did not accept any weapon. Krishna simply showed Bhishmadev that I have come to kill you with this wheel of the chariot. Now, Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra is different. So, although looks like how Krishna is holding the chariot wheel as if he's holding the Sudarshan Chakra, and he's running very fiercely to Bhismadev like a lion running to kill an elephant. But actually, Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra is different. This Krishna running to Bhismadev, these are reciprocation. Krishna can do anything for his devotee. Bang, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Isn't it during this time Krishna showed his Virat Roop and told he's the God, he's the ultimate
Virat
to
Roop
Bhishmadev?
was shown before the battle started, not at this time.
So at this time, didn't he said like he's the Lord, he's the only ultimate thing
No,
to.
he didn't say anything at this time. No, Bhishmadev already knows. So what you might have seen in television programs is not necessarily everything is true. So here he didn't show the universal form. Bhishmadev knows that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is standing with open arms that if Bhishmadev gets killed by Krishna, obviously Bhishmadev is going to attain liberation and spiritual world, because getting killed on the battlefield while doing his duty to perfection and getting killed not just in front of Krishna, but by Krishna, there cannot be more appropriate death. Mind, Prabhu?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, from my memory, it was the same thing that I mentioned. Maybe I've watched somewhere, but yeah, that was.
Yeah. So although I've given some examples that the television programs, yeah, the event that they take and then they spice it up for their monetary benefit, but we have to rely on what is given in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Got it. Yeah, thank you.
So the Lord was so angry that in spite of Arjuna's trying to check Krishna, Krishna proceeded towards Bhishmadev as a lover goes to a lover without caring for hindrances. Now this Krishna's apparent determination was to kill Bhishmadev, but factually it was to please Bhishmadev as a great devotee of the Lord. And that's what Bhishmadev is praying in 37 and 38, remembering this exact image that we have on the screen of Krishna running to Bhishmadev with a chariot in his hand, with that apparent intent to kill, but actually this was a reciprocation between Krishna and his devotee Bhishmadev. So Bhishmadev is saying, actually, Krishna wanted to satisfy my desire. Therefore, Krishna broke his promise. We discussed last time that Bhishmadev has said that, not last time, but just a few minutes ago, that Bhishmadev said that in today's battle, either Arjuna will be killed or Krishna will have to pick up weapons to protect Arjuna. And this is what Bhishmadev is referring to in this verse 37-38, that Krishna broke his promise of not to pick up a weapon. But Krishna wanted to satisfy Bhishmadev's desire. This is again a Bhakta Vatsal quality, that Bhishmadev has made this promise that Krishna will pick up the weapons. And Krishna satisfied his devotees this desire. So Krishna wanted to prove that Krishna's devotees promise is more important than Krishna's own promise. And Bhishmadev is remembering the affection of Krishna towards him. Can you imagine? Bhishmadev is calling this as affection of Krishna. Questions, comments, realizations? Okay.
Prabhuji, this is so difficult to understand. So Bhishmadev is pure devotee, so that's why whatever Krishna is giving him, he's taking it as his blessings for him. But Prabhuji, when Krishna killed Putna or Kans, so were they also pure devotees? Were they also seeking salvation? That is why they turned into bad characters that have been who have been depicted as bad characters, like Kans did all kind of bad things. So were they also pure devotees or they were not? So are they different from Vishnu? They just wanted to understand.
So 2 points for what Pragya has pointed out. First, Kamsa and Putana were not pure devotees. And the other thing, Putana and Kamsa were killed by different personalities. Meaning, Putana was killed by the Krishna form of Krishna. Therefore, Putana attained Goloka Vrindavan. So even today, Putana is in the motherly form as a nurse of Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. And Kamsa was killed by the Vishnu form of Krishna. Therefore, Kamsa would have attained Brahman effulgence. So all this killing that happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra was actually killed by the Vishnu form of Krishna. It's described in Srimad Bhagavatam that when Krishna, the original Shyam Sundar form of Krishna comes on earth, all incarnations come within Krishna. So all this killing was done by the Vishnu form of Krishna. All these, in Canto 10, all these demons that are killed, they were all killed by the Vishnu form of Krishna, with the exceptions. There are a few exceptions, just as Putana is the exception where Putana was killed by Krishna's form of Krishna. Therefore, she attained Goloka Vrindavan. Versus when Vishnu kills, the demon attains Brahman effulgence. Therefore, Prabhupada has said in many lectures that all these Gyan yogis, they are trying to go to Brahman effulgence. What's the point? That place is full of demons. Okay?
Ji Prabhuji, thank you.
Nitya had a question.
Sorry, Prabhu. Just what followed after this, Prabhu? I just want to get the clear thing. So Arjuna then goes on to shoot arrows. Would you just give us what happens after this?
So yeah, the battle continues. After this, Arjuna asked Krishna to not pick up weapons because then everybody will blame Arjuna that Arjuna did not do his duty properly. That is, Arjuna says, "Hey, I am your Sakha." He uses the word Sakha there. That have mercy on me as your Sakha and let me do the battle properly. So what had happened was, before this battle, even though Bhismadev was definitely fighting fiercely, but Krishna saw that Arjuna was not equally fighting fiercely, because Arjuna still had at the back of his mind that somehow every other warrior gets killed and Bhismadev survives and Arjuna does not have to kill Bhismadev. Therefore, Arjuna was not fighting fiercely. Therefore, before picking up this chariot wheel, Krishna actually became angry on Arjuna also, that Arjuna, you are not fighting fiercely as what your capacity is. So then, while stopping Krishna here, Arjuna says that, forgive me, Krishna, that now I will fight very, very fiercely. So what happened was, just as because Nitya asked, so after going back to the chariot, both of them, then Arjuna fought fiercely this battle. And then following day, not following day or maybe a day or two later, could be a following day. They came up with the plan to get Shikhandi on Arjuna's chariot. Now, Shikhandi is Amba from a previous life. You might be knowing that story. So there were three sisters who were supposed to be married to Dhritarashtra and Pandu's parent, their fathers. So Amba was mentally prepared to marry some other person, but all three of them were captured by Bhismadev to get married to this prince of the kingdom. So when Bhismadev captured all three sisters and brought them here, one of the sister, meaning Amba, told the mother or the would-be mother-in-law, meaning Satyavati, that she had already mentally prepared herself to marry to so-and-so. So the mother says, well, now you cannot marry to my son. And they send Amba back to that prince, to that king. Now the king says, no, I am a Kshatriya, I am a king. I cannot accept somebody's leftover as my wife. So the king rejects Amba then. And then Amba says, well, now Bhismadev, you have to marry me because you kidnapped me. So Bhismadev says, no, I cannot marry you because when I came to kidnap you, I clearly said that I am representing the prince of my kingdom. I did not kidnap you for myself. So I cannot marry you. Plus, I have taken a vow to never get married. So this Amba goes on to the spiritual master of Bhismadev. And the spiritual master of Bhismadev orders Bhismadev to marry Amba. And Bhismadev says, no, I cannot. Then the spiritual master of Bhismadev says, well, then you'll have to fight with me. So there was a fierce fight between Bhismadev and Bhismadev's spiritual master. And Bhismadev first takes permission from the spiritual master that you are ordering me to fight, but you need to give me permission whether I should fight because you are my spiritual master. So the spiritual master gives Bhismadev permission and says, be victorious. So Bhismadev does not kill his spiritual master, but kind of defeats and the spiritual master is pleased with Bhismadev. Bottom line, nobody was there to marry Amba. So Amba took a vow that she will be responsible for Bhismadev's killing. So Amba leaves the body and takes birth as Shikhandi. Now Shikhandi is born, so Amba as Shikhandi is born as a gay person. And in the battlefield, now Bhismadev clearly knows that this Shikhandi is Amba. So Krishna gives this solution to Pandava, to Arjuna, that they went, Yudhishthira and Arjuna went to Bhismadev saying that Bhismadev, you gave us the boon on day one of the battlefield to become victorious, but you are standing in between us and victory. Therefore, we are here to return your boon back to you. So Bhismadev was bewildered that why are you doing this? And Yudhishthira says, well, this was what Krishna asked us to do. And Bhismadev smiles, says, oh, now I know. This is Krishna's plan. So Bhismadev says, okay, I will give you the solution to kill me. He says, if any woman comes on the battlefield in front of me, I will drop my bow and arrow and you can then kill me. Well, it's on a battlefield. How can a woman come on the battlefield? Draupadi said, well, Draupadi will be on Arjuna's chariot and Yudhishthira and Arjuna said, no, we can't take you on the battlefield. Therefore, Krishna says that Draupadi cannot go, but there is no law to stop Shikhandi from being on Arjuna's chariot, because Bhismadev will recognize that this Shikhandi is Amma, and he will drop his bow and arrow, and that's exactly what happened. And that's when Arjuna shot all the arrows onto Bhismadev, with then Bhismadev lying with on the bed of arrows. Does that help? A little diversion.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry I took the time to ask. And
It's okay. All right. Hey, let's read verse number 38 purport. So we'll go slow because all these purports are very important. Chandran Prabhu, 38 purport.
Hare Krishna. Text 38 purport. The dealings of Lord Krishna and Bhismadeva on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are interesting because the activities of Lord Sri Krishna appear to be partial to Arjuna and an enmity with Bhismadeva. But factually, all this was especially meant to show special favor to Bhismadeva, a great devotee of the Lord. The astounding feature of such dealings is that a devotee can please the Lord by playing the part of an enemy. The Lord, being absolute, can accept service from his pure devotee even in the garb of an enemy. The Supreme Lord cannot have any enemy, nor can a so-called enemy harm him because he is Ajita or unconquerable. But still, he takes pleasure when his pure devotee beats him like an enemy or rebukes him from a superior position, although no one can be superior to the Lord. These are some of the transcendental reciprocatory dealings of the devotee with the Lord. And those who have no information of pure devotional service cannot penetrate into the mystery of such dealings. Bhismadeva played the part of a valiant warrior, and he purposely pierced the body of the Lord so that to the common eyes it appeared that the Lord was wounded. But factually, all this was to bewilder the non-devotees. The all spiritual body cannot be wounded, and a devotee cannot become the enemy of the Lord. Had it been so, Bhismadeva would not have desired to have the very same Lord as the ultimate destination of his life. Had Bhismadeva been an enemy of the Lord, Lord Krishna could have annihilated him without even moving. There was no need to come before Bhismadeva with blood and wounds. But he did so because the warrior devotee wanted to see the transcendental beauty of the Lord decorated with wounds created by a pure devotee. This is the way of exchanging transcendental rasa, or a relation between the Lord and the servitor. By such dealings, both the Lord and the devotee become glorified in their respective positions. The Lord was so angry that Arjuna checked him when he was moving towards Bhismadeva. But in spite of Arjuna's checking, he proceeded towards Bhismadeva as a lover goes to a lover without caring for hindrances. Apparently, his determination was to kill Bhismadeva, but factually it was so to please him as a great devotee of the Lord. The Lord is undoubtedly the deliverer of all conditional souls. The impersonals desire salvation from him, and he always awards them according to their aspiration. But here, Bhismadeva aspires to see the Lord in his personal feature. All pure devotees aspire for this. Hare Krishna.
Beautiful purport that Prabhupada says that dealings of Krishna and Bhismadev on the battlefield are interesting. It appears enmity and partiality, but actually all this is to show special favor to Bhismadev. Those who are non-devotees cannot understand the activities between devotee and Krishna, even if it is on the battlefield, just as Bhismadev and Krishna, Bhismadev being in the Shivalras Rasa. Now some may say, if Krishna is injured, it may seem Bhismadev is at enmity. What kind of relationship is this? What kind of relishing is this? And this can be bewildering for non-devotees. And Srila Prabhupada says this in the purport, that to the common people, all this was bewildering to these common people and non-devotees. Spiritual body cannot be pierced, and devotee cannot be at enmity with Krishna. Questions, comments, realizations? The next verse, 39, is also a very beautiful verse. And during last year's Rath Yatra, when Zizel, Malti, Raksha, and Dipanshu Prabhus were traveling with me, I gave reference to this verse about Kutumba. Vijay Rathe Kutumba. The Kutum means family. So let's first hear from Padmanaya Prabhu this verse. Again, is a beautiful verse, and should again stick on you what the verse is saying. So let's hear.
Vijaya Ratha Kutumba Tatotre Jitahaya Rashmini Tapshri Ekshaniye Bhagavati Ratirastu Me Mumursho Jamiha Niriksha Agata Swarupam.
Vijay Ratha Kutumba. So it's a beautiful analogy that Bhishmadev is calling not just Arjuna as the Kutumb or the relative of Krishna, but Bhishmadev is calling the Rath itself, the chariot, the horses, all as Kutumb of Krishna, and he protected the chariot. So I'll describe as we read through this verse what exactly was this, and I'll give the reference of what I described to the devotees who were traveling with me during the Rath Yatra, where I remember this verse. Matan Prabhu, 39 translation.
Hare Krishna. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death.
So Kutum means family members. The head of the family has to take care of the needs of the family. So Arjuna's chariot, the chariot horses are all Krishna's Kutum. And Krishna is very much conscious to protect Arjuna's chariot and horses, that none of them are hurt. So in this verse number 39 purport, as well as in 41 purport, Srila Prabhupada explains what is the significance of this Bhishma's pastimes and the prayers. So what had happened was, during the battlefield, the day following Abhimanyu's death, when Arjuna said that he will kill Jayadratha by the end of the day, the following day, if Jayadratha is in the battle, or Arjuna will commit suicide by himself. So Dronacharya had created a Kamal view where he was like some 12 kilometers far away. And Arjuna had to create a way to break through that Kamal view Rachna to reach Jayadratha. Now it was getting very close to end of the day, and Krishna stopped the chariot in the middle of nowhere in the battlefield. And Arjuna says, what's going on? Why did you stop? So Krishna says that the horses are tired, and the tired horses cannot take you on the victory lap. So they need to drink water and get little relaxed in a lake. So Arjuna got off the chariot, and in the middle of the battlefield with his arrows, he created a lake for the horses to drink water and dip in that water. And during this time, Krishna protected Arjuna, Arjuna's chariot, and Arjuna's horses, just as the head of the family member takes care of the entire family. Therefore, Bhismadev is remembering this and calling the Vijay Rath Kutumba, that all these are Kutum, the family members of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada says that devotee very easily attains samadhi by constantly remembering Lord's personal feature in terms of what he did, his activities, etc. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? Matan Prabhu, 39 purport, first paragraph.
A poor devotee of the Lord constantly sees the presence of the Lord within himself because of being translated by loving service. Such a poor devotee cannot forget the Lord for a moment. This is called trance. The mystic yogi tries to concentrate upon the super soul by controlling the senses from all other engagements, and thus he ultimately attains samadhi. A devotee more easily attains samadhi or trance by constantly remembering the Lord's personal feature along with his holy name, fame, pastime, etc. Therefore, the concentration of the mystic yogi and that of the devotee are not on the same level. The concentration of the mystic is mechanical, whereas that of the poor devotee is natural in pure love and spontaneous affection. Bhismadeva was a poor devotee, and as a military marshal, he constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, the chariot driver of Arjuna. Therefore, the Lord's pastime as Parthasarathi is also eternal. The pastimes of the Lord, beginning from his birth at the prison house of Kamsa up to the Mosala Leela at the end, all move on one after another in all the universes. Just as the clock hand moves from one point to another, and in such pastimes, his associates like Pandavas and Bhisma are constant eternal companions. So Bhismadeva never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, which even Arjuna could not see. Arjuna was behind the beautiful Parthasarathi, while Bhismadeva was just in front of the Lord. As far as military feature of the Lord is concerned, Bhismadeva observed this with more relish than Arjuna.
So Dara's question a few minutes ago gets answered directly here, that Arjuna did not see the Parthasarathi form because Arjuna was behind Krishna, while Bhismadev was on the front side of this Parthasarathi form, and therefore he is relishing all this. And paragraph number 2 of 39 purport, Prabhupada explains the challenge of impersonalism. So Prabhupada already explained that it's very easy for devotees to attain samadhi. And then he explains the other side, that impersonalist is very challenging. Matan Prabhu, 39, second paragraph, purport.
All the soldiers and persons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original spiritual form like the Lord after their death, because by causeless mercy of the Lord, they were able to see him face to face on that occasion. The conditioned souls rotating in the evolutionary cycle from the aquatics up to the form of Brahma are all in the form of Maya, or or form obtained by one's own actions and awarded by material nature. The material forms of the conditioned souls are all foreign dresses, and when the conditioned soul becomes liberated from the clutches of material energy, he attains his original form. The impersonalist wants to attain the impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Lord, but that is not at all congenial to the living spark, parts and parcel of the Lord. Therefore, the impersonalists again fall down and get material form, which are all false to the spirit soul. A spiritual form like the Lord's, either two-handed or four-handed, is attained by the devotee of the Lord, either in the Vaikunthas or in the Goloka planet, according to the original nature of the soul. This form, which is sent person spiritual, is the Swarupa of the living being, and all the living beings who participated on the battlefield of Kurukshetra on both sides attained the Swarupa as confirmed by Bhismadeva. So Lord Sri Krishna was not merciful only to Pandava, he was also merciful to other parties because all of them attained the same result. Bhismadeva wanted the same facility also, and that was his prayer to the Lord. Although his position as an associate of the Lord is assured in all circumstances, the conclusion is that whoever dies looking on the personality of Godhead within or without attains his Swarupa, which is the highest perfection of life.
So this thinking about Krishna and his pastimes, and you can attain perfection. Does anybody want to know the brief story I mentioned about how I remembered this verse during last year's Rath Yatra time?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So last year's Rath Yatra, Sunday morning, I got a phone call that I need to pick up bhoga from the temple and bring it to Center Island. So this was heavy bhoga. So I'm driving my car. Now, besides the ferry, even early morning, there isn't really a place to hold. So I have reached way ahead of everybody else, and I'm holding my car exactly under the pole where it says do not park. Because it is very busy. Even early morning, there isn't really any time to hold your car there, maybe for 1 minute or so, but I was holding my car for about 30 minutes or so. So I remembered this verse, Vijay Ratha Kutumba, that I prayed to Krishna that you protect the bhoga in my car just as you protected the chariot of Arjuna and the horses as well as Arjuna. You protect it that way. Because even if, say, somebody comes to move me from there, downtown Toronto is very complex. You have to turn and turn and turn and turn to come back again that place. Well, if somebody asks me to move, well, I won't be able to park or even hold my car there. So I kept remembering this verse and the visual that we have on the screen. And when Zizel, Malti, Raksha, and Dipanshu Prabhus were traveling with me, I explained this same when we were returning back, that on that morning, that's how I was remembering, and I kept chanting, remembering this verse. So normally, when you chant, the mind is running everywhere. So I was simply standing there in my car, exactly under the pole where it says absolute do not park. I was parked exactly under that pole, because that was the only place where I had to keep. It was heavy bhoga, and whosoever comes, I have to just hand him over right there. I cannot carry that heavy bhoga from a distance. I did not have any trolley or anything. I just had to drop it right there. So I remembered this verse at that time, and I just sat there peacefully for about 30 minutes, kept chanting my rounds, and I kept remembering this exact same visual and this exact same verse, Vijay Ratha Kutumba. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Next, Bhishmadev will pray for, he will glorify the gopis, and he will continue to ask for Rati. Now, why gopis? That he's on a battlefield and still he's trying to remember the gopis, because gopis are the highest devotees, and we already discussed that when you remember Krishna together with his pure devotees, then Krishna is pleased. So to get the mercy of Krishna, you have to get the mercy of devotees, and therefore he is glorifying the gopis. Let's hear from Padmanabh Prabhu on verse.
The next, Lalita Rati Vilasa Valguhasa Pranaya Nirikshana Kalpito Rumana Ritamanu Pitavatya Unmadandha Prakriti Magan Kilajasya Bodhvatva.
Mayank Prabhu, translation.
Guruji, verse
40.
Hare Krishna. Let my mind be fixed upon Lord Shri Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Vrajadhama, the gopis. The damsels imitated the characteristic movements of the Lord after his disappearance from the rasa dance.
Why is Bhishmadev glorifying gopis? The answer is, Bhishmadev is remembering gopis to have their mercy at the time of death, because gopis are the highest devotees of Krishna. So Bhishmadev understands that Lord is satisfied more when his pure devotees are glorified. So this is for me a sadhaka to understand that I need to glorify the devotees of Krishna. If I have some enmity towards devotees, I should not express, because Lord will be dissatisfied. And this is what Bhishmadev is setting the example, that in all situations, we should glorify Krishna and his pure devotees. Mayank Prabhu, 40 purport.
By intense ecstasy in loving service, the damsels of Vrajabhumi attained qualitative oneness with the Lord by dancing with him on an equal level, embracing him in nuptial love, smiling at him in joke, and looking at him with a loving attitude. The relation of the Lord with Arjuna is undoubtedly praiseworthy for devotees like Bhishmadeva. But the relation of the gopis with the Lord is still more praiseworthy because of their still more purified loving service. By the grace of the Lord, Arjuna was fortunate enough to have the fraternal service of the Lord as chariot driver, but the Lord did not award Arjuna with equal strength. The gopis, however, practically became one with the Lord by attainment of equal footing with the Lord. Bhishma's aspiration to remember the gopis is a prayer to have their mercy also at the last stage of his life. The Lord is satisfied more when his pure devotees are glorified, and therefore Bhishmadeva has not only glorified the acts of Arjuna, his immediate object of attraction, but has also remembered the gopis who were endowed with unrivaled opportunities for rendering loving service to the Lord. The gopis' equality with the Lord should never be misunderstood to be like the Sayogya liberation of the impersonalist. The equality is one of perfect ecstasy, where the differential conception is completely eradicated, for the interest of the lover and the beloved become identical.
Very good. Questions, comments, realizations?
So beautifully described.
Okay, very good. Very good hearing with rapt attention and reading also. So in verse number 41, Bhismadev says, Krishna must be worshipped by all. I'll play 41 and then we will read 41 translation.
Munigana nipavarya sankulanta Sadasi Yudhishthira Rajasuya Yesham Arhanam Mutapeda Ikshaniyao Mama Drishiko Charaesha Viratma.
Vakya, 41 translation. Vakya. Priyanka, 41 translation.
Hare Krishna. At the Rajasuya Yagya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthir, there was the greatest assembly of the elite men of the world, the royal and the learned orders, and in that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was worshipped by one and all as a most exalted personality of Godhead. This happened during my presence, and I remembered the incident in order to keep my mind upon the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So at the Rajasuya Yagya, Krishna was glorified, and Bhishmadev is even remembering that same also. Priyanka, third paragraph, it starts, so in that great assembly.
So in that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was the sorry, one second. So in that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was the connoisseur of neighboring eyes. Everyone wanted to see Lord Krishna, and everyone wanted to pay his humble respects to the Lord. Bhishma Deva remembered all this and was glad that his worshipful Lord, the personality of Godhead, was present before him in his actual formal presence. So, to meditate on the Supreme Lord is to meditate on the activities, form, pastimes, name, and fame of the Lord. That is easier than what is imagined as meditation on the impersonal feature of the Supreme. In the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, it is clearly stated that to meditate upon the impersonal feature of the Supreme is very difficult. It is practically no meditation or simply a waste of time because very seldom is a desired result obtained. The devotees, however, meditate upon the Lord's factual form and pastimes, and therefore the Lord is easily approachable by the devotees. This is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita 12.9. The Lord is non-different from his transcendental activities. It is indicated also in this shloka that Lord Sri Krishna, while actually present before human society, especially in connection with the Battle of Kurukshetra, was accepted as the greatest personality of the time, although he might not have been recognized as a supreme personality of Godhead. The propaganda that a very great man is worshipped as God after his death is misleading because a man after his death cannot be made into God, nor can the personality of Godhead be a human being. Even when he is a personality, he is personally present. Both ideas are misconceptions. The idea of anthropomorphism cannot be applicable in the case of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So at the start of this paragraph number 2, the sentence which says, so to meditate on Supreme Lord is to meditate on the activities, form, pastimes, name, and fame of the Lord. So I've described at the start of our Srimad Bhagavatam that at least for me, it is easier to remember the verses, the pastimes of the Lord, instead of, say, remembering the actual form of the Lord. Just as I gave you the example of Vijay Ratha Kutumba, the example where I'm remembering Bhishmadev's prayers. So whatever works for you, you don't have to change. Whatever works for you. At least for me, it's easier to remember the qualities that we discussed in chapter 8, Kunti Maharani prayers, as well as the prayers and the pastimes, just as what we are discussing here in chapter 9, as well as these pastimes are there throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm just giving an example here. Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations? All right. 42 is the last prayer of Bhismadev. I'll pray Padmanabha Prabhu's recitation and then we will read.
Finally, last prayer by Bhismadev. Taminamaham ajam sarira bhajam didhidhishchitamatmakalpitanam pratidrisamiva naikadharkamekam samadhigatosmi vidhutabhedamoha.
Pragya, are you able to read 42 translation? Archana or this? Go ahead, 42 Pragya.
For two translation. Now I can meditate with full concentration upon that one Lord, Sri Krishna, now present before me, because now I have transcended the misconceptions of duality in regard to his presence in everyone's heart, even in the hearts of mental speculators. He is in everyone's heart. The sun may be perceived differently, but the sun is one.
So, Bhishmadev is now about to leave the body and is remembering the form of the Lord, the beautiful form of the Lord. And he says that I am now free of dualities. And is therefore completely purified, and he is about to leave the body. Therefore, this 42 is the last verse that how we have on the screen, that the beautiful form of Krishna, his Parthsati form, is standing right in front of Bhishmadev's vision, and that Bhishmadev is completely free of duality, and this is where and how Bhishmadev left his body. This is what he has taught us, to leave the body, remembering Krishna, whichever way works for you, whatever be your rasa. For Bhishmadev, yes, it is unique that because he is a pure devotee, that the Lord is personally present. But you can remember Krishna whichever way, either the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or the verses or the prayers of pure devotees, and it's identical. Questions, comments, realizations? Are those beautiful prayers of Bhishmadev? I said from the start that these are among my favorite prayers. You don't have to say just because for the sake of saying. Are those relishable prayers for you all?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's beautiful. He started from the Kurukshetra and then he went to the gopis and everything. Every form he remembers. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Very heart-touching.
Thank you for hearing with rapt attention. Pragya, 43, translation and purport. Faster pace, please.
Ji Prabhuji. 43 you said, right?
Correct.
Translation. Sutta Goswami said, thus Bhishmadev merged himself in the Super Soul, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with his mind, speech, sight and actions, and thus he became silent and his breathing stopped. Purport. The stage attained by Bhismadev while quitting his material body is called Nirvikalp Samadhi, because he merged his self into thinking of the Lord and his mind into remembering his different activities. He chanted the glories of the Lord, and by his sight he began to see the Lord personally present before him, and thus all his activities became concentrated upon the Lord without deviation. This is the highest stage of perfection, and it is possible for everyone to attain this stage by practice of devotional service. The devotional service of the Lord consists of 9 principles of service activities, and they are hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet, worshipping, praying, executing the orders, fraternizing, and fully surrendering. Any one of them or all of them are equally competent to award the desired result, but they are required to be practiced persistently under the guidance of an expert devotee of the Lord. The first item, hearing, is the most important item of all, and therefore hearing the Bhagavad Gita and later on Srimad Bhagavatam is essential for serious candidate who wants to attain the stage of Bhismadeva at the end. The unique situation at Bhismadeva's time of death can be attained even though Lord Krishna may not be personally present. His words of Bhagavad Gita or those of Srimad Bhagavatam are identical with the Lord. They are sound incarnations of the Lord, and one can fully utilize them to be entitled to attain the stage of Sri Bhismadev, who was one of the 8 Vasus. Every man or animal must die at a certain stage of life, but one who dies like Bhishmadev attains perfection, and one who dies forced by law of nature dies like an animal. That is the difference between a man and an animal. The human form of life is especially meant for dying like Bhishmadev.
Very good. So I already described what Prabhupada explains in the purport, that for Bhishmadev, Krishna was personally present. That is unique. For us, we just have to remember Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is identical to the Lord. And Bhishmadev has taught us how to die. And Srila Prabhupada left the body identically to Bhishmadev, that Srila Prabhupada was translating Srimad Bhagavatam up to the very last moment of his life, and the last words that Srila Prabhupada said was Krishna. And Acharyas have described that Prabhupada said Krishna, like the first part of Krishna, like just the first part, Krish here, and completed the Na in spiritual world. That Prabhupada was immediately transported back to the spiritual world. Questions, comments, realizations? Priyanka?
Probably among these 9 activities or 9 principles or devotion service that are listed, are some of these more prominent in a specific rasa, or all of these are prominent in each rasa?
They are all identical. There's no relevance to rasas. Hearing is the easiest one, and therefore we all try to focus on hearing. Otherwise, they are all identical. All right. So last few verses is part 6, verses 44 to 49. Title is Honoring Bhishmadev's Departure. Dhara, 44 translation.
Knowing that Bhishmadev had merged into the unlimited eternity of the Supreme Absolute, all present there became silent like birds at the end of the day.
All right, read the second paragraph. It says Bhishmadev as a pure devotee.
Bhishmadev, as a pure devotee of the Lord, entered the spiritual realm in one of the Vaikuntha planets, where the Lord in his eternal form of Parthasarthi predominates over the unconditioned living beings who are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. The love and affection which bind the Lord and devotee are exhibited in case of in the case of Bhismadev. Bhismadev never forgot the Lord in his transcendental feature as the Parthasarthi, and the Lord was present personally before Bhismadev while he was passing to the transcendental world. This is the highest perfection of life.
Right, so I already described that Bhismadev attained the Vaikuntha planet, where the Parthasarthi form of Krishna is eternally present, and Bhismadev, even today, is the direct servitor of that Parthasarthi form of Krishna. Last few verses are straightforward. Mayank Prabhu, 45 to 49 translations.
Hare Krishna. Thereafter both men and demigods sounded drums in honor, and the honest royal order commenced demonstrations of honor and respect, and from the sky fell showers of flowers. 46. O descendant of Bhrigu, after performing funeral rituals for the dead body of Bhismadev, Maharaj Yudhishthir was momentarily overtaken with grief. 47. All the great sages then glorified Lord Shri Krishna, who was present there by confidential Vedic hymns. Then all of them returned to their respective hermitages, bearing always Lord Krishna within their hearts. 48. Thereafter Maharaj Yudhishthir at once went to his capital Hastinapur, accompanied by Lord Shri Krishna, and there he consoled his uncle and aunt Gandhari, who was an ascetic. 49. After this, the great religious king Maharaj Yudhishthir executed the royal power in the kingdom strictly according to the codes of royal principles approved by his uncle and confirmed by Lord Shri Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations on the beautiful prayers of Bhismadev.
Prabhuji, when we see the Parthasarthi form of Krishna, we will think of Bhishmadev. Now,
Very good. That's very good. You can think of Krishna or Krishna's pure devotees is identical. So you will you keep having that visual in front of you, and remember all the prayers that Bhishmadev is reciting, and you will also attain perfection by that. Very good.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a question. So, what good, like what deeds Bhishmadev did that he got to experience this at, at this last final moment? Like
So if you look at
Krishna's presence himself, like
if you look at Bhishmadev's life, so it's described, one of the verse we read in the purport, that Bhishmadev in his previous life was one of the 8 Vasus. So before Krishna appeared on earth, Krishna asked all his associates to appear before him so as to assist Krishna in his mission. So Krishna personally asked Bhishmadev in his previous life as Vasu that Krishna wants this Vasu to take birth and be Bhishmadev. So throughout his life, he served Krishna perfectly. He's a pure devotee as well as a Mahajan. And because of that service attitude, just visualize the difficult service given to him to fight against Krishna, to shoot arrows at Krishna. That was a difficult service, but he did that difficult service to perfection. That satisfied Krishna. And therefore, Krishna himself came. There was no reason for Krishna to come to the battlefield. But this was the plan of Krishna to get Yudhishthir not being satisfied by anyone, so that everyone can come in front of Bhishmadev, as well as Krishna comes in front of Bhishmadev. It is only by service you can satisfy Krishna. It's explained in Canto 1. Will come up with the queens trying to trying to please Krishna with some smiles and gestures, and Krishna is not pleased. Only by devotional service is how Krishna is pleased. Yeah, also explained in Bhagavad Gita also. Thank Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Prabhuji, if somebody has a comfortable life and does not go through such kind of tests that Krishna puts his pure devotees to, then is it difficult for such person to conduct service of Sri Krishna with the same devotion and attain same kind of love and attention of Krishna?
Yeah, read 1.8.25, sorry, 1.8.26 and 27. What is 1.8.26? You should all remember that. Akinchana Gochara. And 1.8.26, 27 is Akinchana Vittaya. So, Pragya, read 1.8.26, purport in the middle. It says that the 4 qualifications of life, of high parentage, wealth, beauty, education, are so-called disqualifications. Read that line in the middle of the purport. Okay, 1.8.26. Therefore, the 4 principles of material advancement.
Ji Prabhuji, I did not unmute myself. Just a moment. Therefore, the 4 principles of material advancement, namely high parentage, good wealth, high education, and attractive beauty, are, so to speak, disqualifications for the progress of the path of spiritual advancement.
Right, these are disqualifications. But read the translation, 1.8.26. What does Kunti Maharani say?
My lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feelings.
Does that answer, Pragya?
Yes, Prabhuji, very much. But Prabhuji, if I again compare gopis with that, they do have attractive beauty. They are, I do not know whether they have good wealth or parentage, but they do attract Krishna by their service.
By their service, not by beauty. Gopis' devotion, Gopis' life is very simple. So all those Vaishnavis, some of them are present here. When you come for services, what do I tell you how to come? At least Dhara is present here among the Vaishnavi, or even Matan Prabhu. When you come for services or Archana, what instruction do I give you how to come for services? How to prepare yourself? Dhara, Archana, Matan Prabhu.
Come as a servant with very simple clothes and no makeup or nail polish or anything.
Yeah, and come with high devotion, right?
Yes.
So I tell them, come like gopis and gopas, that come in simple clothing, but with high devotion. And today, many of them are going to come for services. They're going to come exactly like this, because that service attracts Krishna, nothing else. Okay?
Prabhuji, thank you. Prabhuji, one more thing. The service, like you said, Bhismadev was given the service of fighting against him in the war and to shoot arrows at him. So, is there service that is given by Krishna to us, or we have to aspire our own direction or acquire our own direction through the studies and...
Yeah, unless the living spiritual master gives you a service, until then you follow the services that Prabhupada has said throughout, that follow the service of serving in the mission of Krishna. The mission of Krishna is to get all living souls back home to Godhead. Means you do the preaching service. You bring souls closer to Krishna through Bhagavad Gita study, through Srimad Bhagavatam, through devotional service, by your personal example, that somebody should look at, say, oh, how good is this devotee? doing so nice services, that is preaching. Giving class alone is not preaching. But you can bring devotees, ordinary souls closer to Krishna simply by your exalted behavior. That is the mission of Krishna. So you already have the mission of Krishna. You don't need anything more. Unless the living spiritual master gives you some specific service, that's a different story. You just focus on this mission right now. Prabhupada has said this. This is the mission. Get all souls back home to Godhead. We have discussed this at the start of our Srimad Bhagavatam study. It's there in the introduction also, I think, someplace. Again.
Prabhuji, and we also studied that we should do we have to lead the life in which we are born, and we have to do that life and our work as a service to Krishna.
Correct.
And in addition, there is something about preaching and helping others to connect to Krishna. So these are two things that we need to do, right?
Yeah, dovetail. So the key word is dovetail. Dovetail your day-to-day work as Krishna's service, as well as try to bring ordinary souls within your context to Bhagavad Gita study, to Srimad Bhagavatam study, to devotional services. That is the mission of the Lord. And you are basically serving Krishna. Nobody needs to tell you, or Krishna does not need to tell you. He has already given the instructions for everyone to follow.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Passing Away of Bhismadev in the Presence of Lord Krishna. So we have completed this unit, number 3. Now, I had asked all of you, or not all of you, but I had asked devotees from the first batch or first group, meaning first name starting from A to K, to send me your names on what presentation you plan to do. Only Abhishek Prabhu gave me his name, that he is going to present this very first block of verses. So it appears to me that you don't have that natural inclination to do the presentation. Therefore, my recommendation is that we will not do the presentations, because it's too much of an effort on my part to keep following up with all of you. Not just following up, I'm actually begging to all of you to give, hey, kar lo, hey, naam de do. I have to beg. I mean, this should be natural. We just heard the conversation with Pragya about preaching. And Krishna has said in 18.68 and 69 that when you preach this philosophy to devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And there is no better servant than he. But many of you are not inclined on that at all. So me pressing you is not helping both ways. So if you all are okay with it, on a go-forward basis, I am suggesting not to do the presentation because you are not ready to do the presentation. Some of you are ready. And it's always those some of you who are always coming up front to do the presentations. Well, that is unfair to everyone. So I want to hear from all of you, including those who will listen to the recordings, on my suggestion, and I'm open to your feedback that we will stop doing presentations in this batch number 3 and 4 on a go forward basis. Everybody, I want to hear from you.
Prabhuji, submit that, this there's some problem with my data. I have not received this one particular this thing, but I don't mind. I can.
So I have said that I have made this as read only for everyone. So all of you have access to it. And I had asked all of you to send me your names. So only Abhishek Prabhu sent me the name so that he will present. The rest of you did never responded to me because you are all caught up in material world. So me pressing you is not going to help you. You have to come up by yourself. This is voluntary. I cannot force you into this. So unless you get that conviction, there's no point in me forcing and you grudgingly doing this presentation. Rest of you?
Prabhu, I looked at it last night, but I was waiting for devotees, as you said, from first names to present.
I understand that I had asked batch number, first group, meaning first name from A to K, and I had said they are having the first chance, and I had said rest can consider to do additional presentation. But this is not the first time. Every time I have to play this same bean again. Every presentation. So it's every 2 weeks when the presentations are due. It's a lot of effort on my part to follow up with all of you. Not only that, there are a few devotees virtually present here. For today's service, I had sent a message to them that I need a response from everyone, whether or not you will come. You don't care. No, some of the devotees didn't respond. And for some of the devotees also virtually present here, I sent a personal message that something is going on in your life. You better be careful. There's no response. So all of you should look at your messages that when I'm sending a personal message to you, you don't care. What about the group message? I'm not even talking about that. So it's a lot of endeavor on my part to follow up with everyone every few weeks to do the presentation when you all don't have that natural inclination. Therefore, my recommendation is I don't want to do this presentation in this batch 3 and 4 on a go forward basis. I want to hear from everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we would, sorry.
Priyanka, go ahead.
We would like to present, at least I would like to read the Bhagavatam and then present again.
Yeah,
I'll ask Kunal to add our names.
Yeah, Kunal Prabhu has not been attending classes for quite some time, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to do it. But yes, so like Priyanka or Nitya, yes, some are inclined, or Abhishek has already given his name, but not everybody is inclined. So it becomes a challenge when we are not following the set process that we are setting, that we decided that it's quite a big group. And I divided into 2 halves, that the first half will do the odd number presentation and the second half will do the even number presentation. And whosoever wants to do additional presenters are welcome. But I got one name, and Priyanka, of course, was in the second group, so she was not supposed to respond. Nitya was not supposed to respond.
But I would also like to make an addition.
Yeah, but not everybody is inclined on that. So, and even if few of you who do the presentations, we have for this unit, there are 7 slots. And so far, including Abhishek Prabhu, Priyanka, Nitya, and Pragya, there are 4 slots filled. So there's a lot of effort that ends up for me to follow up to fill the remaining spots. Doesn't serve the purpose. This has to be natural.
Prabhuji, I can do chapter 9 from 12 to 28.
You first need to, yeah, it's not about doing. My first question is, do you want to do the presentations? That's my first question. Because my messages don't mean anything to you all. So you are all caught up in the material world. Well, you get caught, you get whipped. I can't force you out of your material world entanglement. I mean, how hard it is to respond a simple response that I am not available, instead of me having to guess. And a couple of devotees, I send a personal message saying, you are getting caught in Maya, and still the devotee doesn't respond. Well, I cannot really pull you out of Maya. It is for you to recognize that I am trying to help you, but if you don't want my help, I can't really help you in that way. So you all can consider to think about what you want to do. I am open to your suggestions, and my recommendation is that for this batch 3 and 4, I will recommend to stop doing these presentations. So we have devotees from other batch. For example, right now here we have Chandran Prabhu. So in the batch 1 and 2, the next level of presentation. So here you are doing presentations for some 5-10 minutes. The next level of presentation that batch 1 and 2 have been doing is to do a presentation on a whole topic for about 45 minutes. And many devotees have already done it. Chandran Prabhu is one of them virtually present right now. To prepare for their presentation, they are absorbed in that topic. Well, my task is accomplished. That those devotees are absorbed in Krishna for more than a month, continuously, 24 hours. That's the purpose. But you are continuously absorbed in material duties. I cannot force you out of it. Therefore, my recommendation. Chandran Prabhu, you want to share something about how absorbed you are in trying to prepare that presentation?
Prabhuji, about this, I'm ready to do anything, any subject you give me, I don't mind. I can do it.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the batch 1 and 2 bigger presentation of say some 40-45 minutes. Are you not fully absorbed in thinking about that presentation, about that topic? Chandran Prabhu? Okay, Chandran Prabhu for now is unable to unmute. You all can talk to devotees from batch 1 and 2. Many of you know devotees from that. And you can decide and let me know what you plan to do. If there's no presentation for the following week, we will continue from the next chapter, chapter number 10. Right now, I will give you spiritual endeavor questions from what we have discussed so far. Please write down.
Prabhuji, may I request one thing? Is it for the presentation next week? Am I right?
Yeah, if we do the presentation, it will be next week. But right now, the first question is, do you really want to do the presentations?
No, I don't mind. I can be allotted with any subject. I will do it.
It's not one or two or few. It's the large intent of all devotees, and it's a lot of effort on my part to follow up for no reason. So you all can think about it and connect with me offline to decide what you want to do, and we'll go from there. Right now, take spiritual endeavor questions. First one. Explain how the Lord enjoyed the wounds created by his great devotee, Bhismadev. Comes from verse 34. Second, describe Bhismadev's relationship with the Lord. Comes from 33, 34, and 38. Next question is, why did Krishna seemingly break his own promise? Comes from verse number 37. Next question is an analogy. Lord teaches the world by teaching a devotee. Comes from verse number 17. And for next class, read chapter 10, Canto 1. Or if you plan to do presentation, you all can connect with yourselves and come up with a plan. And you can let me know what you plan to do.
Prabhuji, for question 1, what is the verse to refer to?
Yeah, 34. Explain how the Lord enjoyed the wounds created by his great devotee is 34.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, everybody will stop here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.